Hello and welcome back to Projects in Java. Today we're going to cover how to create an archetype in Maven. And to review that real quick, an archetype is a type of template. It allows the user to easily set up a project, and it creates the source files that were in the archetype and the POM file. So if you want to specify some dependencies that this template is always going to use, create an archetype is a really good way to set that up. So let's go ahead and go to our Maven projects directory, and we're going to create a new folder, and we'll call this DB archetype. And the archetype that we're going to create is going to be for our database project. So let's open this up. And with your preferred text editor, we need to create a new POM file. So here in the root directory of our project, we'll create a new pom.xml file. And if we go to the Maven website, there's a guide here on creating archetypes. And this is going to be the first POM file that we create. And we have our group ID and an archetype ID. So we'll call this DB Explorer. And then the artifact will be DB Archetype. And the version, we'll put it as 1.0. Save this. Now let's go back to our directory, and we're going to create a new source folder. And then another folder within that called main. And another one called resources. And then in resources, we're going to create two folders. One's going to be archetype resources. And the other folder is going to be meta info. So that's meta-inf. And we'll open up the meta info folder, create a new folder in here, call this Maven. Then we go back up to the archetype resources, create a new folder in here called source. And then another folder in here called main. And another folder in here called Java. And now we can copy over our source files. And so let's navigate back up to the archetype resources folder. And in here, we're going to create another POM file. And this is the POM file that's going to be used when we generate a project from an archetype. So let's go back to the Maven website. In here, you'll see a prototype XML. And so we'll copy this into the file that we created. And so here we'll leave the first few fields the same. And we'll copy this artifact ID here to the project name. And the URL, we'll leave it the way it is for right now. Now the dependency, we do need the MySQL connector dependency, so we'll get that from the repository. And we'll just copy this into our POM file. And next we want to create this as a shaded jar, so we can copy over the build configuration. And the last thing we need to create is the archetype XML. This is where we specify our source files. So let's create a new file. And we're going to go up one directory and save this in Maven here. And then we'll go back to the Maven website. And we'll copy this into here. We'll delete the test sources since we don't have any of those. And we'll copy this a few times since we have more than one Java file. And so now let's go back to Command Prompt and navigate to that folder. Then we'll run maven clean install. And now we should be able to create a project from this archetype. So let's navigate up and start typing our command. It's going to be a little longer this time since we're using our own archetype. And so we'll call the same thing archetype generate. And the archetype group ID is going to be equal to the group ID we specified in the root POM. And the same thing for the archetype artifact ID. And once we specify the archetype values, we can specify our own. So we have our group ID. We'll just call this dbapps. And then our artifact ID. Okay, and it looks like I just left out a couple of characters here. the equal sign here, and the hyphen. Then now I also want to add the interactive mode equal to false. So D interactive mode equal to false. Let's go ahead and run that now. And let's go ahead and take a look at our folder. So Maven projects, we have DB connector, we have the source, and we have our Java source code. Let's go back and check out our POM. And so here we have the information that we gave to the archetype. We have the shade plugin and the dependency we specified. Now let's go ahead and try to build it. So let's cd into that directory. And then run Maven package again. And now let's go ahead and try to run our project. So we'll add the jar file again. And so let's go ahead and try that again with just the main class. And here is our database connector now. So I hope you enjoyed creating these projects and saw the benefits in using Maven, and I hope to see you in future projects.